Hey folks, welcome back to Post-Industrial Talk. We're here with Mark Youngman, a columnist for Post-Industrial, who often comments for us on what's going on in rural America. Mark, you're coming to us from Northern Michigan. We were just talking off camera about how Democrats need to do a better job of messaging rural voters. What are your thoughts on ways in which they could do that?
Right. Well, as we've started this primary season, we have a lot of candidates now coming up to rural Michigan because I think there's some acknowledgement that the rural vote is pretty important. But the problem is they're coming up to the county parties and they're talking to like-minded people, and they're kind of missing the point. So the couple of people that I'm advising, one of the things that they can do is try to find somebody who at least has some connection to rural or farm or agriculture and put them on their team, because they can then course correct the candidate as they go along. And what I see is candidates are coming up with a gaggle of young people who, they're graduates from the University of Michigan or one of the other universities, and they're all urban and they all speak urban. And they don't see the tells, they don't see the body language, they don't see what's really going on. And I also tell them that when you're going to a county Democratic Party, you're getting a view of the city perspective on what Democrats should be. And there's often a large disconnect between the Democratic Party in the city and the Democrats who are out in rural. So you got to keep an eye towards, is there any way I can talk to some of the people who don't live in the county seat, who live out in the country someplace, because they have completely different issues. And when I hear candidates come up and the party sometimes talk, they're talking about issues that I never hear anyone in rural America talk about. And they don't talk about any of the issues that rural Americans talk about.
What are some of those issues that rural Americans are talking about?
The voting process and how it doesn't work for small little townships. We have 10-day early voting. That's, we did that. It cost about 10 grand and we had 10 voters come in. That's a terrible thing for these little clerks. And our clerk in particular, she used to be a Democrat. And because of this, it's what's viewed as waste and an unfunded mandate, she switched to the Republican Party because she was so upset. And there's a lot of little clerks like this, but you don't hear that in the county seat because counties have lots of money. 10 grand for them is just not that big of a deal because they have a large tax base. Our total tax revenue for our township is $45,000. And of that, we spend $44,000 on mowing the cemeteries, fire department, the clerk, the treasurer, and 3 trustees. It's not a lot of money. So you don't hear that kind of complaint when you go to the county seat because they're oblivious to it.
You live in a very small rural area that, like you said, not a lot of folks up there. Are there Democratic votes up there for the taking?
Absolutely. And, I sit on the Farm Bureau board here, and they talk about Democrats actually a lot more than I thought they would. And there, on the Farm Bureau board, there are 7 members, 5 are women, there's me, and then there's a retired trout farmer. Because in farm communities, women tend to take on all of the administrative tasks. They do the budget, because the men are working. They're the machinery that keeps the farm going. And especially the younger women, they're fairly liberal. They're looking for some place to go, but right now there's nowhere to go. So if you don't like Trump, that's fine, but there's no alternative right now. They just think there's just no one else that they can go to. So I think they're kind of frustrated.
Well, if there are those votes up there, is it worth it for would-be candidates at the state level to come up to your neck of the woods and look for those votes? You said it's among women, but are there men who are also willing to vote Democrat these days?
Yes. And especially among the younger crowd. The younger crowd are much more liberal than the 25 to 30-year-olds are pretty liberal now, from my point of view, from having grown up here. Whereas the 50 to 65, it's a mixed bag. It just depends on who it is. But Yeah, I think there's a lot that Democrats could do, but they need to figure out what that message is and start talking about a lot of these kitchen table issues and how they're going to fix them, and not just complain about Trump. A lot of people come up and complain about Trump. And I tell the people I talk to, never do that, because a lot of these are Trump voters. They voted for Trump. They don't like him. They'll vote for someone else. But if you just criticize their last vote, you're not getting in the door now. They want to hear what you're going to do. So for a farmer, how are you going to improve the system to get workers on farms? And there's a lot of ideas out there for that, but talk about that. Or streamlining the electoral process, making it more efficient and better. Lots of things they can talk about, but they have to know to talk about them.
As always, Mark, illuminating insights from rural America. We really appreciate it, and come back soon so we can talk some more.
I will. Thank you.